Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Creative Nomad Show. It's so nice to see you. It's so nice to be seen. We're going to be playing with some really cool new changes today. And if you've been around for a while, you know that this show is really about telling the stories of the people who are out there really making a difference in the world and really living their true awesome lives and helping others do the same. And I can promise you, my next guest is absolutely that person. His name is Adam Ladden. He is an intuitive empowerment coach and communication coach. He has just such a loving heart, and he's one of those people that when he's part of one of the masterminds I'm in, it's one of the people that has been the most supportive people I've ever known in my life. We're going to talk all about some of the things that he's been up to lately. You know, it's exciting. He just told me he's been going back and forth to Salem for Halloween. I can't wait to talk to him. So, you guys, this is Adam Ladden, and this is the Creative Nomad Show.
Welcome to the Creative Nomad Show, your go-to place for all you awesome creators out there who are itching for more than the everyday grind. Here's your host, JB.
Hello, and welcome back, guys. I'm here today with Adam Ladden. Adam, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome, awesome. So, we were just talking right beforehand, and you said like the perfect thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to talk about this. You know, I know that you're an intuitive reader. I know that you do a lot of stuff around that. But so you just told me that you've been going into Salem every day or every weekend for Halloween. What are you
Right.
doing there?
So I work at the oldest witch shop in Salem in during Halloween. Um, Before I went to Peru, I'd worked there for about four Halloween seasons. And what I do is I do palm readings and card readings. When I was busiest in previous seasons, I would occasionally do 28 to 32 15-minute readings in a given day. So I would be reading solid for hours and hours and hours. And I loved it. When I do Salem, I do primarily palm readings and card readings. And I love just working with the clients. You get people coming from all over the world to Salem because it's such a like witchy town. And so I really get the opportunity to meet people from all walks of life and really do amazing stuff to help support their path, help them create. Sometimes you just need to really let people know you get it and you understand what they're struggling with. And so we have amazing people that come through that that shop. It's called Crowhaven Corner in Salem, Massachusetts. And so just because of many factors, I actually drive up and down every day. So it's a 2.5 hour drive in the morning and then a 2.5 hour drive at night. So, and I work all day from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That's
So
that's
yesterday
insane.
was my last day and I love it, but I'm definitely ready to be home a little bit more.
I totally understand. Working that kind of schedule is grueling, and especially as an intuitive, because I know that if I do 2 or 3 readings a day, I'm like, no, no, I'm good. Thanks. Have a nice day. You know, um, because it takes more out of you than people actually realize. I think how much it.
And I know that's true for some people, but it actually doesn't do that with me. Um one of what opened my gift was I got my Reiki 1 attunement. That's how my gift was actually opened. And so as you know, Reiki's a channeling technique. And so I feel like because it's what opened me up, it's what my gifts pass through. So I'm often not nearly as drained as the average reader. They actually used to call me the machine up in Salem because I could literally just read and read and read and read and still be okay to like do what I needed to do afterward. Um, and it's how my gift works. Is I get so excited about sitting with people and helping them find a way toward their success, toward There are different things that I don't get drained like other people do, and I'm not. It it's just an acknowledgement. It's just an acknowledgement. My gift works differently, um, and it may be because it got opened later in life for me. I mean, later for some people are born with it wide open. I My gift didn't really open until I was 23, so I'm not 100% sure about what the factors are. But I know that I don't get drained from helping people and supporting people that way, and I'm also not a medium. I don't talk to the other side. A lot of people that do mediumship work, that's crossing that boundary is so much work, and I'm actually glad that I that gift isn't strong in me. I mean, I do not to say I haven't had moments, but um I it's not where my gift typically goes. I really work more with trauma and love and connection. Like I love teaching people how to connect and communicate with others who they are.
I love it. I love it. We have that in common. How to communicate what it is that who you are authentically. And I think that do you find that people are challenged to really be authentic and open themselves up to other people?
Well, I think that it's not always a choice with people. My personal belief is that some people are supposed to be involved and engaged in co-creators, and other people are supposed to have their life written for them, and they're not supposed to know how to do that because that's an uh, evolved skill and gift that not everyone's supposed to engage with. So, but in general, especially since the internet has become so powerful, we have so much information and noise out there. We have the information of what people are telling us, we have the information that we have access to. We don't have a lot of help and support in sorting through all of that stuff. And that's why I call it noise, because some of it may be good noise, some of it may be bad noise, but there's a whole hell of a lot of noise. And so, as you know, I worked with someone years ago to come up with the clearest view um as my business name. And that's really what I love is helping people have clarity around their unique individual identity. Really knowing what works for them, what they can do, what they can't do, what they can expect of others, and what they can't expect of others. Because I think that more so anything else that has been hugely challenging is so many people are operating with expectations of what others can do that are inaccurate, that are just completely not accurate, whether it's too much or too little. Either way, they're both equally toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I've been dealing with we were just talking about it. I've been dealing with that. Somebody that just doesn't have what they even say in them, you know. So it's been a challenge. It's been interesting. What do you think that what do you think is so empowering about creating limits?
I don't think it's actually about creating limits. I think it's the opposite. I think it's actually about teaching someone how to celebrate you, how to comfort you, how to cherish you, and how to engage with you. It's more about offering people the opportunity to earn you and keep you. That's more relevant. And just knowing that if someone can't do that, it's probably not their fault or their choice. It's just they can't do that. So it means they can't have access to you.
Got that. So do you feel like what I get from that is that you feel that you're a prize. So many people walk around without feeling worthy, right? And I think that they chase it's one of my core beliefs that we chase other people and we chase experiences and chase for from our unworthiness, right?
Right.
So it kind of flip your that idea kind of flips on the head. No, you need access to me. I am a prize. I am, somebody that um gates that?
I believe that most people that are looking to grow and heal and serve have extreme value. Okay. If you're a people pleaser, you have extreme value because you are able to step out of yourself. And so you're essentially a master at helping and healing others, even if they can't receive you. So what some people do is you can't create boundaries. I don't believe in creating boundaries. I believe in redirecting your energy. Don't give this to someone unworthy of you. Give it to someone worthy of you. You know, I I personally believe in a divine source that for convenience I would refer to as God, but not in a Christian Jewish sort of sense, just in a divine source kind of sense. And that's a good word that I use. Okay. I talk about all the time, no matter what tradition you look in, your divine source requires a level of gratitude and acknowledgement. And your divine source has infinite energy. Okay. So we, having inherently limited energies, need even more gratitude and appreciation to invest that limited energy in others. And so you're right, there is a large amount of, you need to be able to know and appreciate and celebrate your value and operate from a place of the fact that if you're a service person, if you're someone who wants to serve others, really cares about others, you automatically have an ability to um you have an area of genius. If that's your path, you have an area of genius that you can really work in, and that you can really use that as a recognition of how to offer and engage with people. So you need to decide how you're going to have a healthy exchange for that. You need to teach people that, because most people that serve will are not perceivable by people that don't. Because most people, when they're in need, they stop. People that serve don't stop when they're in need. So they're not giving any signals to everyone else about what would serve them. They're so busy serving that there's no way for anyone to perceive, know, or understand what they could do in return. A lot of my clients, I say to them, do you even ask someone to just sit for a cup of coffee with you? A lot of people that serve don't want a lot. They just want someone to be present with them and feel like they're able to just breathe with another human rather than having to like stretch outside themselves and serve.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how, like, we're not taught how to teach someone. We're taught this idea that if you love someone, you know how to show them love. And to me, given the fact that we've become so much more vastly dynamic, that's a ridiculous concept. On top of the fact that when you look around at most people, do they have healthy love, healthy cherishing, healthy celebrating modeled for them in this world? Where is those things modeled? Like, where are we going to learn this idea? So part of my mission is to really shift people around and help them find different ways to love. And mind you, I think that this is more of a challenge in the United States. You know, as you know, I moved to Peru to find my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. How was that? I mean, it's amazing to me. I'm a nomad, so moving. I know that I want to travel, so that's
Right.
my purpose, right? You moved because you met your wife. What was it like, to kind of go there and just like take in that culture and like kind of change your whole
Um,
life around that?
so what I would say is that and it was actually inspired by the mastermind that we're both a part of.
Yeah.
One of the people there was talking about living in Colombia and working virtually in the US.
Mhm.
And so I was inspired to actually make the leap and go in that direction in the hopes that I could find someone to be in a relationship with. So when I first got there, I did a few things. I got a personal trainer. I signed up for a paid version of Bumble over there because they have
Okay.
Bumble over there, which is a dating app where the woman contacts you first. And so for me, because I'm much more of a professionally, I'm a very vocal person. Romantically, I am not nearly as vocal. I have really nasty anxiety.
Okay.
So um, I joined there. I dated a couple of people, but I met my wife. So I moved there August 2nd. Uh, and I met my wife September 25th. And we sat, so it was literally basically 7 weeks after I got there. And we sat in a cafe and passed our phones back and forth. And we just shared such a level of, they call it trauma bonding, but it was trauma bonding in a healthy way. We knew that because of how much we felt betrayed by other people, we would stay loyal to one another. And we acknowledged that we wanted someone to love us. And so um it we just spent time together and it just progressed from there. We still, like, is learning better English than I am Spanish, but we still don't have like the language thing. We still have to use translators. But
Wow.
the time we spend together, the activities we do, the way that we feel about one another is amazing. You know,
Love is universal. It'll find a way to communicate,
right?
I believe.
Yeah.
So that's that's kind of fascinating. Do you use so I know that these days you can actually have like things in your ear that will translate for you. Like, are you using that kind of technology, or are you just like
No, we're
where?
just using. That's really interesting. I didn't actually know that, but um, we're just using basic Google Translate most of the time, or we're connecting through people that we know that are bilingual. Because I know a lot of people that are bilingual. I knew a lot of Peruvian people before I left for Peru. That's why I chose Peru to begin with. Is I know that their family values are very different and they're kinder and gentler than some of the other um, countries in South America.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It's interesting that, and it's such a beautiful country. Well, I've seen pictures. It's one of the places where I've thought about driving to. You just have to get through Mexico.
yep.
And as an RVer, Mexico is a mess.
Okay.
They, the cops will pull you over, and you literally have to bribe them to let you go.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just tools basically, but you don't know when they're going to be, and it's one thing if you can plan on that, but you don't really know where or when
Right.
or how. So not my trip this time.
Yep.
This time I'm going to West Coast. Um, so did she come back up with you, or is she still down
Yeah.
there?
Mi amor, aquí, acá. Sí, repetido, mi amor. Yeah, this is my wife, Maria, who I met and came back. She came back with me.
Hi,
Hi.
Maria.
Hello.
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 Welcome to the Creative Nomad Show.
Habla dicho. Hola.
Sí. Hi.
So yeah, I mean, she's an amazing human. She has her own healing gifts and abilities, and I didn't know that until a little bit later on. But I'm not really surprised about that.
No,
And so, like having a person, especially doing the work that we do, I think if we're drawn in that direction, obviously we're free to whatever we choose. But if we're drawn to creating connection, having that support is really important, can be really important, really valuable.
yeah, definitely. Someone that understands where you're at and where you're coming from. I mean, it makes all the difference. Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So we're coming towards the end. What is it if you were to describe your perfect person? The person that tends to work the best and get the best results from you. Who would that be?
I would say that it's a usually I work more with women than men. I have no problem working with men, but I typically work better with women. And I work with women, I would say between, I'd say 25, 26 years old and like into their early 40s because they have to be coming into an awareness of who they want to be. I also enjoy working with people of all ages, but someone who's really starting to realize that they've sacrificed a lot for other people, that they really, that people pleaser is definitely a very strong energy that I'm very good at working with. I call it redirection rather than creating boundaries, but helping people redirect their people pleaser in more accurate and fulfilling ways. Because it's actually becoming a more powerful people pleaser because you're actually creating impact by the people you please rather than chasing people that can't really receive.
I understand that. That's gorgeous.
So
Yeah, and if you were to move again, if you were to move to another country or move somewhere else, where would it be? What's in your bucket list?
I mean, I don't know about move. I definitely want to visit Australia. I loved Ireland. I definitely want to go back. Um, but I eventually want to open up retreat centers all over the world, not just in the country, but all over the world. Um, so I would see myself being more nomadic um, by having different centers in different places that I work, staying at different places for different periods of time. But I want to open retreat centers for families. Not we have like a lot of couples retreats. We have a lot of individuals, retreats for entrepreneurs and things like that. I believe that we're not teaching families how to connect with one another, that it's now something that needs to be taught. And so I want to have all sorts of different activities for people to explore different ways of interacting physically, some classes on communication from I know like you and so many other people and not just the one mastermind that I belong to that we're connected to, but others. And I know different holistic practitioners. I know people that do fire dancing. I know people that do hypnotherapy, that do sword play, that do martial arts, that do all these different things. And I want to create with people the ability to find individual ways to connect by exploring different activities. And I haven't really seen anything like that anywhere. Like it's just not done yet. So what I'm looking to do is eventually create that model for people so that they have someplace to go to be away from their home and really engage in authentic connection in different ways. I know people as well that do work with pottery, glass making, like all sorts of different activities. where people can come to one location and get exposed to a ton of different things in very short bursts. They can discover and explore it more if they like it later on.
Yeah.
But I think that we are not giving people the opportunity to really connect in different ways.
Well, I got that. Yeah, it's with our disconnected world. I mean, half the time, even when we're in front of somebody, we're sitting on a phone. You know.
And I don't actually want to minimize the value of that, because there is actually extreme value in the fact that no matter who you are and what you like, even if you're feeling disconnected from the people in your physical environment, you can find ways to get support in what you like as well. But as I said, I believe it can also create a lot of noise.
And I think it takes you from the people that are there. So
I
you-
I don't
not
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I don't actually agree with that. I think that if the people were present for you in a way that you really needed and that would really value, you would be present with them rather than seeking something else. I I think that what we we often want to connect with someone else in a way they can't connect, and we blame the phone for that when it's they wouldn't connect that way with you anyway, even if the phone wasn't there.
we might disagree on that. Now, not completely, because I think that there are people that are in your life that really shouldn't be in your life. Right? I completely agree with that. But I also have seen personally have seen people that are sitting next to each other that really could have a conversation and just don't because they're stuck in a phone playing a game or doing something else. So that might be on an individual. Not that I completely disagree, but I think that that's more of on an individual thing.
Yeah,
So it's not.
I completely agree, and I think that that is true, and that's the whole thing is we're all individuals, and so that's the challenge in creating connection is we can't always choose what our connecting points are, and we can't ask someone else to develop a new connecting point if they can't develop that connecting point, and that can be challenging for us because we want to believe that love creates the connecting points when it's actually whatever our authentic connecting points are.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But sometimes I believe that just a little more effective communication can change everything.
Absolutely. It absolutely can. And that's the thing is that who is teaching effective communication? Okay. I agree. So am I. What I
Right.
mean is, where is that universally taught in our world?
I definitely understand. It's not something that people, necessarily have access to. And I think that we're taught communication incorrectly so often, in the form of trying to get your point across. And it's all about you and trying to dominate rather than actually communicate and connect. And we're not taught that.
One of the things that I talk about a lot is people say communication is 50-50, and I say it's 20-80, which is that 20% of communication is what you're presenting. But the majority of the effective part of communication is what the receiver has to go through. That we, as the presenters of information, have are are extremely skilled if we can learn how to filter through and share information in a way that the receiver can actually receive. And it's about acknowledging as well that a receiver doesn't choose what they can receive and what they can't. It's not a choice in a lot of cases. It's literally they are able to receive it, understand it, perceive it, engage with it, or they can't. And to not immediately get mad at someone else who's not receiving you because you're assuming, like we are taught in a subconscious way that if someone's not receiving you, they're not listening. They're choosing not to pay attention. They're choosing not to listen. But if you really look at it, would most people choose to not have effective communication? Would they really choose not to listen? Would they really choose not to engage if it was a choice? Would they actively choose conflict and not being able to process and acknowledge and all of that stuff? I don't really believe that that's the case. I don't really believe that they would really choose not to be able to do it. I just think that they can't. And maybe that's giving people too much grace, but that's where I come from. Is I give people the grace of believing that um that if they're not hearing me, if they're not understanding me, it's not a choice. It's something where there's a disconnect in
Yeah,
me or in them.
right. It's that you're not being effective in how to present that in such a way that they can understand. And I've
Or it may be a concept or energy they are neurologically incapable of understanding. That's
uh,
not a choice. That they literally do not the perception, the neural pathway for that information can potentially never exist in them.
possible. It's possible. But that's how you create the neural pathways is by hearing that information and creating that.
By seeing if that creates a neural pathway in someone that it can be created. It's kind of the thing.
Yeah. I think that we live most of our life unconscious anyways. So it's one of the things that I talk about frequently is that we kind of fell into this default life.
Yeah.
It's default. We have default relationships, we have default lives. We don't really choose. And here we are.
Right.
And then we talk about
Exactly.
how we're stuck and we hate it and we hate this and we hate this and well, you made those choices. And now once you can take responsibility for the choices that you made and then made and trust me, I have my own list of choices I made that aren't great, right? From my
Right.
diet to my exercise to, the
See, uh,
conversations I've been in, you know.
the challenge with too much self responsibility is foundationally we don't have very much choice in the beginning of our life.
No.
We don't have much choice in any of our circumstances and our situations. And so we have to be able to acknowledge that individually, if a higher and more and stronger developed sense of responsibility works for us, then we should absolutely do that. I don't believe in self responsibility as a concept. I don't think that I am capable of being responsible for myself by myself. I need my community. I cannot create my life. I cannot be responsible for anything in my life without help. And so I I have a different point of view along that concept. I think that pushing self responsibility also creates self shaming thoughts very frequently.
It depends on how
Navigate
that
it. I agree.
navigated. And the issue is that people will confuse integrity and morality. They're two completely different concepts. And when you collapse them is when you have the issues with all of it. When you have the self-defeating, mantras. And and again, it's a concept that when you master it, when you first get it, you're gonna hate, and once it's mastered, it's probably the most liberating thing in my life.
And again, that's why I say it's all individual.
But it's individual in such a way of how you deal with it and how you take it on. In reality, you're responsible for everything in your life. You make the
Oh
choices that you make.
no, no, no. I
Oh,
I
yeah.
cannot disagree with that statement more, because whether we like it or not, we have external things that impact us that are permanently beyond our control. There are external factors and external things in our life that we have no choice around. Someone hits us with a car, that is not our responsibility. And taking that on as a sense of responsibility is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Okay.
So,
So someone hits you
so
with the
like,
someone hits you with the car, right? So this happened. So that it happened. Now, how did you deal with it?
it depends upon exactly what happened and exactly what I was capable of as a result of that.
But the thing is that it comes down to some things do happen. Some and you put yourself in the situation too. You walked across the street. You didn't look both ways. Somehow you got hit by a car. Okay, that's not you were in the car. You were in that street. You were there. Okay, so somehow, and when you start, you have no power if you say, "Oh, this car hit me." Your
Right.
life has no power. You have no options around that, right? You have nothing that you can do. I was hit. I'm a victim. Okay, you were hit by a car. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they are right, that it's all your fault you got hit by a car. I'm not There's a difference between responsibility and fault and blame, okay? So this
But
happened.
people don't know the difference between that, number one.
So
And number two, it's okay that you were powerless, because part of life is being powerless for people that they fi- if you are externally motivated, if you are not internally motivated, if you know and recognize you function in a different way,
mhm,
and that trying to push yourself into being or doing something creates a negative spiral, why would you ever learn to do that? Why wouldn't you find other tools and other ways that work better?
but again, you're responsible for finding the tools that work for you.
If you want to look at it that way, or it's not even responsible, it's you do the best when you can, where you can. And maybe you can't. And if you end up staying helpless, I'm not going to blame someone for that. Like this, people talk about quote unquote victim mentality as if someone shouldn't be living in their victim. And there's a judgment and an attack on that people are constantly using, that creates shaming behavior of others. And I don't judge someone who wants that higher, more developed sense of responsibility and that idea to work through responsibility that way. But on the flip side, I don't want to be, I think it's a highly offensive the way other people create that shaming value system, that are self responsibility people, that they have no compassion and recognition that there are other people incapable of self responsibility, and that they should be left to be incapable of self responsibility because it's not that person's choice.
disagree on that because honestly, it is their choice. And
No, it's not. They don't have the perception or the awareness or the neural network to be able to navigate that. They can't perceive or see outside of how they function. Their brain will not allow them to look outside of that direction.
but
I'm
that's
sorry, there have been countless studies done that their neural network is not that developed, is not that able to recognize and engage with that point of view. It's not their choice. It's neurological, it's biological, it's not a decision.
there are people that might have to work harder at something.
No, I'm saying that they can't do it. It is a permanent, not everyone has neuroplasticity. We know that.
Okay, no, we don't. Everyone does have neuroplasticity,
No,
unless
they
you've had
don't have.
extreme, unless
You
you've
have
had extreme.
neuroplasticity around certain concepts and not others. You don't have
No,
universal neuroplasticity around every single aspect of life.
no, you
You
really
don't.
do. You do.
There
That's
are
been
certain
proven.
areas of the brain that don't grow and expand. We see it all the time when someone has a head trauma.
When
We
they
see that
have
there are
a head
some
trauma,
people.
when you have a head trauma, I've had brain surgery. I wasn't supposed to walk. I wasn't supposed to talk. I was never supposed to go back to school. I was never supposed to be where I am,
But
ever.
individually, that's you. Your brain is unique and
Okay,
is
but
not the same as others.
it is, but it's not that unique. And I've went through, and this is me going through. I've had to go through brain classes. I've had to go through the whole thing to learn why my brain is not functioning, was not functioning the way it was supposed to. I was with people who were who were literally in wheelchairs and paraplegics, and the program I went through was for traumatic brain injury. So, and even the people that were never supposed to walk again, the paraplegics, the people that had spinal surgery, spinal cord severs, it starts moving. You can have it start moving around that, and your
With
brain,
some and
especially
not
with the
for others. With some
but
or not for others.
this
It's
is
not a
with
universal. It is
but
not
this
a
is with
universal truth
extreme
with everyone.
this is with extreme brain trauma. What you're talking about is someone with extreme brain trauma, not someone that has
It's all
that.
the same.
No,
It's
it's
all the same.
no, really.
There, if someone has a, not everyone has the capacity to separate and engage with all those different things. They just don't. I really, I have so much respect for you,
And
but
I
you're
do.
not going to convince me otherwise based on all the research and everything that I've seen that everyone is capable of everything. I believe certain people are capable of certain things, and other people are permanently incapable of other things. And that if you're treating people like they are capable when they are not, you are doing tremendous damage to them. You are creating so much damage in not recognizing people may be forced to be how they are. It's not like you're saying to someone who wants to create something, who is in deep desire, you can't do this. It's saying to someone who knows themselves, it's acknowledging they know their limits. It's respecting and acknowledging someone's acknowledged inability. It's like saying to someone who's blind, you're blind, you can't see. I respect the fact that you're blind and you can't see.
I got that. But what you're so I am not good at mechanics.
What?
I'm not good at mechanics. Okay, I turned into a bumbling idiot. Even things that I should should know and things that should be easy are stupid for me. Right? I literally have a block there. I know I have a block there. I've had a block there my whole life. I've had a block there.
Yep.
Right? Totally get it. I understand that. Okay? And I don't do anything to fix that block either.
Okay. Well, if
Okay?
you believe you have a choice, then that's up to you.
So
If you
so
don't
the
have a
choice
choice and that block is there,
now
then
I don't have any physical things wrong with me that means that I can't do it, right? So I'm not talking about someone that might be handicapped. I'm not talking about somebody that, you know, that has circumstances, right? And if I chose to, it's a choice. It's me being responsible for me, right? If I chose to, I can learn how to do all this stuff. I could go to school. I could go and do it. I can watch YouTube videos. I have on certain occasions. It's not worked well for me, but I have. Now I may not be good at it. I may not be ever be my, it'd be like me trying to go and play basketball. 5'5". I'm never going to be the best
but
basketball player.
I I think we are also forgetting about another really major important factor that's inherently limiting, which is time. Any
But
any anything that I mean, even if you believe, which I don't, that everything can be overcome,
mhm,
okay, the amount of time and energy to overcome it means stealing it away from other things.
it
And
does.
so treating people like they can overcome, like they can and should overcome something
Never said
means you're
should.
telling someone they're wrong for how they're investing their resources.
Never said should. Never said should. I said they can, and then they have a choice.
Yeah, and I don't
There's
I think I hear you, and I completely respect you. I
yeah,
just my message to the world is it's okay that you can't, it's okay that they can't, and you have to be able to work with such a positive ability to can't, because I work with so many people in trauma. When you say to someone everyone has a choice about everything,
mhm,
that means the way someone's treating you is always someone else's choice. But if they can't see things and they can't do things, then how they're treating you is not their choice. So it doesn't mean a lack of love or a lack of anything. It just means it's like people say you can control your reactions. And that makes me so mad because the definition of a reaction is an uncontrolled response to stimuli. So you can't control something that you react to. Maybe, hypothetically, you might be able to eventually diffuse what causes the reaction. But when you're in a reaction, you cannot control a reaction.
so one of the things I help teach is to stop reacting and start responding.
Right.
Take the breath. That's what meditation is. That's why I teach meditation. Like literally, it's not for the meditation itself. It's not for clear. You're never gonna clear your friggin' mind. Like it- you will for 30 seconds. Like monks talk about it. That 30 seconds, but it's training you to stop the the chatter enough that you can have a breath between you and how you respond to that chatter. Okay, so
And
the reaction's
again, that
there. You're
technique
gonna
is beautiful.
you're never going to be able to control your first thought, but you can respond to the second one. Again, you got hit by a car. I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying it's your fault you got hit by a car. Okay? Now, you're responsible for that happened. Now what?
Yeah, and my response to that is you got hit by a car. However you react until you are able to be in control is okay. And I'm going to say it's okay. And you can't be responsible until you're ready to be in a place of feeling responsible. And so it's
And
just a
not
different point of view.
yeah, it just yeah, and I totally got it. I'm not again, I respect you too.
Right. Exactly.
This isn't a I'm right
Right.
and you're wrong. It's just
Right.
I think that it's an interesting dichotomy, you know, to play on. There are a lot of people that confuse responsibility and blame. There are a lot of people that confuse integrity and morality.
Yep.
It's a yes or no. If I don't take out my garbage and I push it down and I throw something else on it, knowing that it needs to go out, it's an integrity issue, right? Now, am I a bad person because that's what happened? No, it means that in this moment I chose not to, right?
And again,
Now
like,
there are
are
consequences.
you are you choosing, or like you said in the beginning, are we engaging unconsciously?
Again, but unconscious is a choice.
I I've heard people say it, and every time I hear it, it just sounds like such hogwash.
I,
Not
I,
to say that I don't respect you, but
I got it.
I look at people, and I look at their chosen character, and then I see what happens unconsciously, and I can't reconcile the idea that it's a choice. I think that in individual people, they are perceptually developed enough that it becomes a choice. But like I said, some people's life is written for them, and other people are co-creators. But that I allow people that their life is written for them to stay written for them, and I acknowledge them as that, and then I acknowledge the co-creators as well. And I don't
Right.
believe that we're all inherently co-creators. I think that's simplifying identity way too much.
I believe, yeah, I totally disagree with
I
that.
know, I get
We
it.
are like a fundamental, like fundamental levels of myself. Like even hearing that, I'm like, no, we are all co-creating this world. Now, some are
And
doing
I
it
just
consciously, and some are doing it unconsciously, and you get to choose. I'm not mad at the people that are not consciously creating their lives either, right? But they're not the people I work with because the people
I
I work
believe
with do.
people that some people are pinballs and other people are flippers. Is another example I use. Some people are pinballs and other people are flippers. And you cannot change a pinball into a flipper. And that the effort to try creates so much trauma in those of us that are people pleasers. So many of those people of us that are flippers, until we learn better, try and turn a pinball into a flipper. And we always fail at it time and time and time again because we're not supposed to, because we're supposed to let them be pinballs.
Yeah, it's not somebody that I personally the pinball people. I might give them like, hey, come to this training. Hey, have you been here? Have you heard this once, maybe twice? And I let them go.
Right. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing
No,
wrong with
I'm not saying that I'm going to
yeah,
associate with pinballs, but I'm
right.
saying I believe in acknowledging they exist and that it's not their choice that they're pinballs, that it's just inherently who they were created to be. And
Eh,
it's actually a positive purpose in being a pinball.
no, 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 no. They chose. I believe that they chose, but I also believe that we chose the life that we walk into.
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I all the way from the very foundation of this,
Right.
we're probably
And that's where it is. And that's why we are both we do different work.
Exactly.
And I work with because it's very your philosophies are very common. But I've had people work within those philosophies and experience such tremendous trauma from learning those philosophies, from these ideas and concepts, because of where that drags their perceptions. And then I've had them sit with me and I've redirected their perceptions around the ideas and the philosophies that I work with. And it heals them so much to be able to acknowledge the permanent nature of other people's limitations, the fact that they don't choose, to really recognize and acknowledge the fact that people are pinballs and that it's not their choice and that it's not a lack of love or lack of appreciation for you, that they just can't operate any differently regardless of the amount of love they have for another person, that they're just limited in that way. And that allows people a grace with those individuals enough to appropriately let them go and to stop chasing them. Whereas I hear people focus on this choice philosophy, and it means they continue chasing changes in others that they can't create and have and make happen.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I talk about too. You can't the only one that can change your life is you. And you're not responsible. You can't control someone else. You can't make their choices for them. And if they're not making the choices that are compatible with the choices that you want to make, then it doesn't there's someone that needs to go.
Right. I definitely agree with that. But I
Yeah.
also believe that we can find people to give our power away to that can really help us. We can find people to do tasks for us, to do things for us that we
Things.
don't have to do for ourselves.
Things. Yes. Life choices, no. Who you are, no. What you're creating, you still have to choose to direct.
You can also choose the person to be in charge of it and not direct it after that.
Depending on what you're talking about, yeah. I mean, I have no yeah, I definitely it just depends on who you're talking about and what
Right.
area you're talking about,
Right.
and I had my ex used to pay all the bills
Yep.
out of my account. You know what I
Yep.
mean? For years. As a matter of fact, that's how I got rid of my ex is because he paid all the bills on my account with my checks. And I said that I was going to turn him in for bank fraud because he stole money out of my account. Although he paid all the bills, did all the things, all the checks,
Yep.
and I can prove that he signed more checks than I ever did,
Yep.
right? So, but it was my choice to let him do that until it was no longer a choice that I could make.
But again, you're not an example of the average person.
You know,
And
he
so what you can do and what you can't do is not an example of what other people can do. You're way more dynamically neurodiverse than the average person. And
but that's
so
because I worked on all that.
no, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I believe you're actually neurologically born that way. I think
Yeah,
even as a young child, your ability to pay attention was much greater than the average child's ability to pay attention. Your ability to
I
assimilate cause and effect is much stronger and much greater than the
that
average child was.
that's a trauma response. That's literally a trauma response from growing up with alcoholic parents.
And I'm not disagreeing with that fact. I'm just saying it's a truth of circumstance because your brain was trained that way as a trauma response. You have an ability other people don't have.
I'm saying that if someone else chose to start seeing things differently and are exposed to some of the things that I've been exposed to and some of the things that I work with, that they can train that. And that part of it is easy.
And
that
I
part
think if
that part is easy.
foundationally it wasn't developed at a certain point, we have permanent mental atrophy. But I know we're keeping on circling back to that difference.
Yeah.
And
And
we
I
started
honestly,
a half an hour show.
again, an hour, an hour. I totally understand this. I know how this works. Unfortunately, I have a call, so I have to get
Right,
off here.
exactly. So I totally get it. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you for being on the show, and I love the fact that we did have two different point of views because
Right.
if we all thought the same, we all did the same work, then we'd all be doing the same work, and if like
Wouldn't be very, we'd be falling all over each other. Exactly right.
right, you know,
Um,
you are such an amazing person. Tell people how to get a hold of you.
so you can if you basically take my business name together, the clearest you with the letter at gmail.com, like it is on the little blurby thing. Or I actually don't mind giving out my phone number so people can actually call or text me at 860-805-0482. Again, it's 860-805-0482. Now, if somebody starts harassing me, I will reserve the right to block their number. But I really prefer to contact me through phone or text rather than email. But I do receive email because most people like to contact over email. So thank you so much for having me on the show. And I hope you have an amazing call.
Thank
And I'm
you.
sure we'll connect again.
We'll see each other on Wednesday.
Right.
You are loved. I thank you all for watching with us. I'm glad that you guys all got to see, a different dynamic. It's a really great. I thought it was a really amazing conversation. I hope that you guys found it the same. It's interesting. I will have to do a little bit more research on neuroplasticity now, because like my dad always taught me, I have to know the most in the room. So there's a study I didn't read.
Yep.
So I will have to check it out. Thank you so much,
All right.
Adam. You guys all have a great day, and I will see you all next Monday at noon on the Creative Nomad Show.
Thank you for watching the Creative Nomad Show. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, check out creativenomadshow.com. There is also a link at the bottom if you are an awesome creator and would like to be a guest. Know that you are loved.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.